The final is upon us. Probably the last video of 2024 in this fashion. We have MLS Cup Final 2024. It's here. We got the West Coast versus the East Coast. And as fitting for this occasion, we had to mix it up, get a few special guests in to the episode for today. Before I introduce them, do me a quick favor. Like the video down below, subscribe to the channel. Even after the season's done, we're going to keep the MLS conversations rolling. You're not going to want to miss it. A lot of interesting guests coming to Goals TV. All right, guys, as mentioned previously, got a lot of great guests on for today. As fitting for the final, had to split it up here. We got Lacuna Galaxiana. We have Rob and Ananda here representing the LA Galaxy side. And then, of course, on the other side for RB, we have Andrew from the Designated Players and, of course, Bob from the Designated Pundits. Guys, we're here today. Dude, I love Bob's background, by the way. This is amazing, bro. It's fitting for the final today. But we are here today, again, to not just react to how each conference final went, but we're going to also, again, preview how we believe MLS Cup Final will turn out. Stick around to the very end. We have predictions coming all the way around the panel here today. Guys, let's jump right in. We're going to kick it over to our two RB fans to start things off. Hector and I will chime in. We're the two neutrals here today. All right, Hector, we're just going to sit back and enjoy, man. Even though, Orlando lost last week, ruined your whole championship DVD moment. It's okay, bro.
It was a good ride. Okay. It was a good ride.
It was a good ride. It was a roller coaster of a ride, I might add. Let's jump into it, man. Look, Bob, we'll start with you, man. We alternated this game. You and I were DMing a little bit towards the end. It probably went exactly the way RB would have drawn it up, right? A set piece goal gets you the dub. How'd you take it all in?
Controlling the game, being the better team in the day. That's what it's all about. This Red Bull team is 2 seasons away from being the best road team in Major League Soccer. They are much improved. They have a better roster than they've had in years past. They've had some unfortunate results this season, including a terrible stretch of draw in the middle when we were missing Emil Forsberg, the big guy, number 10. So I think that the season hasn't gone the way we wanted it to, but hey, I was there. 5 years when we were the best team in the league, didn't win a cup then. Why the hell not? I think, the soccer gods owe us one.
That's a great take. A great take. Andrew, do you see it the same way? You were there, bro. You were there.
Yes,
you were at the game. Dude, I caught all of the posts on Twitter, man. I honestly wanted to live vicariously through you a little bit just to be at a conference final. What was it like there, just in person?
Yeah, very, very tense, right? Every kick of the ball is just don't be the one. Don't be the one to break my heart. Don't be the one to break my heart. And they were defensively sound, a lot of last-ditch defending, which has been a staple of this new 3-5-back system where they're waiting for that pressure. They're trying to neutralize the wide play. They're doing it relatively well. And then when it doesn't work, they've got that extra player back there to support and defend the individual talent, the Facundo Torres and Angulo in this case. And then it's transition play, trying to get the players in behind to cause fouls, and then let's be dangerous off a set piece. Let's get Andres Reyes, Sean Neal, let's get the big boys out there. Let's go get goals in there, and to perfection. I think if I remember correctly, they had one shot on goal, and that shot on goal went in. So it's not pretty. It is not beautiful, free flowing Nancy ball or anything like that, but it works. It got us to a point where we want to be. And I echo Bob's sentiment. Why not us?
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, you mentioned Sean Nealis, by the way, dude. What a game! What a game by Nealis. Like I mean, me being a former defender myself, I feel like I kind of almost zero in on some of those performances a little more now as a fan, but it's just, I thought he played exceptionally well. Hector, before we move on to the Galaxy win, bro, I know you were sitting there at home cheering on Orlando. Bro, how'd you feel when Torres missed that opportunity in the first half? I feel like that was the obvious one. Like that was the one that was like, if Orlando had made that, maybe this game goes completely differently. It was point blank, bro. I mean, from that point on, and you said it in the group chat afterward, right, bro? Like, of course, it's a set piece goal that sinks Orlando. How'd you feel about it?
I think I won props to Red Bull New York. I literally felt like there was an extra player out on the field when it came on defensively. I think that just goes to how well they zoned out in their defense, how they rotated. The opportunities that Orlando did have, I think just point blank just lacked substance. Like Murillo, I don't know what the hell that was, but that was a Schross, I guess. I don't know what that's definitely not a shot. But yeah, I think that's the real thing. Even the counter text that I saw from Red Bull New York, I felt had more substance than Orlando's opportunities. Angulo probably is the only one that I'll give props to in that game, because I felt like he probably had the better of the opportunities. But still, I mean, I believe his name was Harper. Dog. So I mean, I've definitely fell in love with this Red Bull team. Just like Jose, I played a lot defending as well. You respect a team that just is committed to defending, not just the back line and the midfield, but you're seeing Forsberg even getting in on it. Hey, if you're gonna win like a dog, man. And I think that's exactly what we saw from Red Bull New York. It was a dog mentality.
I agree, bro. Wholeheartedly, man. Yeah, I think we'll get a lot more of that unpacking with the actual preview. So let's save it for that. Let's go over to the next game that followed right afterward, right? A big win, of course, for Red Bulls. And then we're all tuning in to see who they're going to play. And we know, right, MLS Cup Finals is going to be hosted on the West Coast just with how seeding worked. And so it's a massive game, right? And a lot felt like, and I'll kind of go to Ananda first. A lot of fans felt like this was a David versus Goliath situation in a massive way because of how potent the LA Galaxy's attack really is, right? That front three is probably the best front three we've seen in MLS in quite some time. So as you guys are watching that unfold, again, LA Galaxy just knocking on the door time and time again. The game is progressing, but there isn't a goal, and it feels like it may not come. It feels like Seattle might squeak by into extra time. We don't really know. Ananda, walk me through how you felt about this one as the game was progressing, and then ultimately, of course, when Joveljic got that goal.
Yeah, man, I was in the stands and Rob was in the press box, so we had two very different views of this game. But let's just put it this way: at halftime, I usually meet Rob at the bottom of the stairs, where he is in the concourse area. And I said before the game I was quietly confident, and then that quickly flipped to, bro, I'm super nervous. I'm like hella nervous right now because the way the game was unfolding was it suited Seattle like very, very well to the T. That's the type of game that they wanted to play. They wanted to sort of muck it up and just be physical with us. And that's what they did all game. They were trying to foul Ricky every way they could. They were trying to, be very, very aggressive, especially Obed Vargas, the Roldan brothers. I mean, they were absolutely honest. And the thing that I said in the first half that sort of made me really, really nervous was they were closing spaces like I'd never seen any other team do, especially in the postseason. So that really scared me. But we found a way. The unsung hero, Dejan Joveljic, he's been the unsung hero really all year. He's always the forgotten man because the Killer Peas get all the attention. He pulled it out for us. But, Jose, I'm just going to leave you guys with this. I mean, just to tell the story of the game, I'm usually the unofficial stats guy on Lacuna Galaxiana, but these two stats just told the story of the game. 0.84 expected goals for the Galaxy and no big chances for either side. So this was a very, very tight game, man. Like, not a lot of teams hold us under 1 XG. But I'm just glad we were on the winning side at the end.
Yeah, Rob, I mean, from your view, do you echo everything Ananda said? Did you see it a little bit differently as the game kind of progressed?
No, I mean, I have to back him up. It was a really, really tense affair, really physical. It played into what Seattle was trying to do, which was try to kind of grind this game out. They hadn't been scoring a ton of goals, but they had been putting in massive defensive performances. So they knew that if they can just get one, that they might be okay and they might go through. They did have a couple chances, and like Ananda said, they were closing down spaces really well. I actually thought they had the better of the game during certain phases, and it really took Mark Delgado coming into the second half to really kind of switch that. Delgado came in for Marco Royce, and he provided a lot more mobility, a lot more verticality there in that middle there. And he was able to link with Ricky a little better as well. I mean, you see the one and only goal, which comes off the one and only Seattle defensive mistake. It's a Mark Delgado press, and he wins the ball. Excuse me. And even before he gets to the ball and he actually has it under his control, Ricky's yelling for Mark, and Mark gives him the scoop pass. Ricky's able to take that and drive and play it off to Dejan Joveljic for the game's only goal. So it was tense everywhere in the stadium. And honestly, had it gone into extra time, I think it would have played directly into Seattle's hands. And who knows, we might be speaking about a totally different outcome.
Yeah, I think I actually agree with that last part a lot. And I have a question based on, that you mentioned that dynamic and that switch between Royce and Delgado. We'll talk about it in the preview. But before we get there really quickly, just one question. Is Royce injured or was that change purely tactical?
No, he had been dealing with something. He came off against Minnesota because he was feeling something in his hamstring, and then it was more of a knock. It was a surprise to a lot of Galaxy fans that he was starting in the game against Seattle. We did hear in media availability today in training that he is trending in the right direction. He trained by himself today. Tomorrow he'll be training outside with the team. So I mean, everything is pointing towards him being available. But again, he is a guy that's played less than 600 minutes since he's come over, so he's not 100% match fit. I mean, it's one thing to pick up a knock when you've been playing every week. I mean, you kind of like shake it off and stuff like that. But this cat's, I mean, he's in his 30s, hasn't played a lot of football, and he might be relied upon to carry this Galaxy attack.
Yeah. We'll see, man. It's one game, right? So, I mean, you have to believe that any player of his caliber, his quality should be able to step things up for one match, even a match as big as MLS Cup. So, and of course, it's Marco Royce, right? It's
from your lips to the Lord's ears.
We'll definitely find out. Lads, let's jump into it, man. And look, I want this part of it, this preview, to really be back and forth. I really want there to be some sense of a debate, because there should be. Both sides, honestly, like as a neutral, I'm sure Hector will agree, it's hard. It's very difficult, I think, to really pick this match apart, because I feel like we learned a significant amount of both from both teams in these conference finals. And I'll agree with a lot of sentiment that's already been shared. But when you look at this game, there have been some dynamics that have already changed, right? I think the biggest one out there, the most obvious one, is how big of a loss is Riqui Puig. And I think we kind of have to almost start the conversation there, because if we try to break down the game tactically, like I said, I think there's a path to either one of these teams winning it. I really believe that. So the one piece that's going to really impact all of this is the X factor for LA Galaxy. And I don't think anybody can argue that. As much as their front three has been amazing, I think Riqui Puig controls that entire midfield. He's the maestro. He pulls the strings. So let's keep it with Lacuna and kind of, figure out how you guys really deal with that loss. And then Andrew, Bob, to chime in as you guys see fit, man, because I think that this is a discussion that a lot of fans are probably having at this moment.
Well, I guess I'll kick it off. I mean, I'm going to start with this, and this is going to be the obvious for me, which is he's irreplaceable. Like, we cannot replace him. That's the honest to God's truth.
Yeah, there's no like for like.
Anyone telling you otherwise is completely kidding themselves. Like, there is no replacement for Riqui Puig. There is no player like him in the league. Like you said, Jose, everything flows through him. I mean, he leads the league with the most touches, the most pass attempts, the most pass completions, and carries. I mean, this guy's so influential in every game, right? So let's start with that premise, because I think we can all agree on that on both sides of the coin. And then the question of how do you replace him? Well, I think, I don't think it's one player. It's not Mark Delgado. It's not Marco Royce. It's going to be a collection of players. And the way I see it is sort of, whoever that player is, whether it's Marco or even Diego Fagundes, I've seen, a lot of chatter around that as well. They can put in like maybe 50 to 60% of the effort, but then the rest of the team's got to chip in. So I need to see 10% more from Delgado. I need to see 10% more from Edwin Cerrillo. I need to see 10% more in ball progression, depending on which side of the pitch you're on, from Mickey Yamane and John Nelson. I think it's going to take just a little 10 to 20% extra effort from all of his teammates to cover up the slack, because like I said, he is completely irreplaceable. So I'm just going to start with that in terms of it's got to be a collective team effort. And I think, Rob, you were at a couple of the pressers the last couple of days. I think Greg's echoing the same sentiment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really drawn on the collective, and you know what? Far from the platitudes that a coach would give you, we just have to stick together, play our game, stuff like that. I mean, I'm just going to go back to the facts and empirical data, which is earlier in the year, the Galaxy did have a stretch where they were missing Riqui Puig, and they won 4 out of 5 games. They looked in those first 4 games fantastic. Diego Fagundes was playing the 10, and it seemed really similar to what Red Bull does in trying to slow the game down around a number 10 with Emil Forsberg, right? It was a totally different type of number 10 than Riqui, who will drop deep, pick up the ball, go at the other team. Diego Fagundez, obviously, not an old man by any measure, but he's been in the league a long time, so he's a different type of number 10, a little bit more calm on the ball, or not calm on the ball, and he's a little bit less frenetic than Ricky. Let's say that he destabilizes the team around him a little bit less. So when you have Diego Fagundez coming into the side, everybody knows where they should be. They have a little bit more time to be in those spaces because nobody's on the same level as Ricky really on speed, right? So you get Diego coming in and he calms his team down a little bit, and really, I think that's going to be the key, is not trying to replace Ricky, but playing different styles that they've been able to play at different points this season. I mean, they played teams that have sat in the low block. They've been able to get around it. They've played teams that have done the high press. They've been able to get around it. They've done play teams that have played it over the top, and their defense has handled it. So they just have to find that identity that they've been showing all year, adjust, and go from there. You can't replace Ricky. Don't even try. Play the other facets of your game. Play to the strengths.
Do you think it's a more balanced team? And I'll just open this up to everybody. Do you feel like
Absolutely.
it's a more balanced team without Ricky?
Absolutely. Greg says so himself. I asked him point blank at one point. I think it was the loss that the Galaxy had against LAFC in the second El Tráfico, the July 4th match, and I asked him point blank, and he said, yeah, absolutely. And it's for the reason I just said. I mean, not everybody's on Ricky's speed, right? So he destabilizes the team a little bit in that way, in that he's kind of unpredictable. Not even his own teammates sometimes know what the hell this guy's going to do, and not in a bad way. He's just like a step ahead of everybody, but if he's a step ahead of you, you're not going to know where that ball is going to come or know exactly where to be. And that comes through repetition and, just playing together, which was why the Galaxy have been playing so well together, is because now they're starting to find that balance. And now they're going to have to try to re-find that form that they had when he was gone. Again, Fagundez brings a nice steady calm to the 10.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Diego. I really do. The reason being is just I don't know if Vanny trusts Royce. I don't know if it's physical, if it's just maybe a mental thing, or maybe he just has frankly a better relationship with some of the other attackers. I'm not sure.
There's a huge con to that though, Jose, in that if you start with Diego and you don't get anything from this, is that you've blown somebody that can play across the entire front line, right? Except for striker, right? He can play the 10, he can play on either wing. So if you do go with Royce to start, then if that's not working, you could bring in Diego and kind of show the New York Red Bulls a different facet of yourself.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to say, I was going to ask the Red Bull guys, like, what scares you guys more? Is it Marco Royce at the 10 or Diego Fagundez at the 10 when you see the starting 11s?
Yes. No, so one of the things that Red Bull have done so well this offseason is they've dictated play in each and every postseason game. They've said, okay, Columbus, you're going to play our style. Okay, Orlando, we know what you do. We're going to shut your wings down and we're going to make you play cagey defensive soccer. Under Puig, okay, it was Schwartz's hand to show. Right? You knew when Puig is on the field exactly what the game plan is, exactly how they're going to play, exactly what the style is going to be. And that leaves it for Schwartz to go back into the office, cook something up, and frustrate you guys for a half. And then Vanny makes the rebuttal at halftime. Right? That's not going to happen now. Now it's up to Vanny to show his cards first, and now Schwartz needs to come back and do something else at halftime. It's we're gonna have a guess at what you guys are gonna do, but I do think that while obviously he's a stellar player, someone you can absolutely not replace, and I don't want to make it seem like it's going to be easier without it would be harder without him. I'm not making that case. It's just that from a coaching perspective, it is kind of a kink in the system where, Red Bulls come out, dictated play, and they forced the other team's hand at the half. Now it might be Red Bull whose hand is forced at the half. So I feel like, we're playing chess, but now we're black when we've been playing white all season,
That's a good analogy.
Yeah,
Andrew, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We recorded our MLS preview for designated players literally 35 minutes before that news broke. And the entirety of our preview was, how are Red Bull going to stop Ricky Puig? What is the tactic going to be? Are we going to change our shape? How do we do this whole thing? Right? Without him, that now takes that all out of the equation, and you can you can almost feel a little bit more comfortable sticking to that style that you played this whole time, right? I think we spent 25, 30 minutes talking about different shapes that you can play. Do you drop in a striker next to Emil Forsberg to give him up in the middle because Ricky Puig dropped so low? How do you counterbalance that? If that tactic goes out the window, you now, like Bob was just saying, can sit in. Okay, now we're just going to sit in. We're going to do the exact same thing we've done when we played Orlando. I mentioned it earlier. They neutralized Torres and they neutralized Angulo for the most part for 90 minutes. They did it with Rossi and they did it with the NYC wide players as well. That system with 5 in the back allows them to control the wide play, which is where the Galaxy get a lot of their attack from, right? So now, without having to worry about, okay, how are we going to deal with the greatest chance creator in the league dropping all the way back in between their center backs to start the play, you can just sit in and say, okay, we're going to make sure that we neutralize and frustrate these wide players early and often, get in behind and see what we can do. One of the things we talked about at the beginning, the very, very beginning of the season, was LA Galaxy's back line was not something at the beginning of the season we were impressed with on our show. We were very, very skeptical of it. And we did an episode with Corner of the Galaxy, and they said, you don't need to worry about it when you've got an attack like this. And they were 100% right. But when you take out the linchpin from that attack, now that gets exposed. And you can start dumping balls behind a little bit more to get Lewis Morgan involved, to get Dante Van Zier involved, to lay it off and let Emil Forsberg create a little bit more. There are a lot more options now that you can take into account that make this a chess match, right? Just like we were talking about. And it's going to be a very, very interesting process to see how somebody like rbny, who's been in this league and won in this league very, very often, goes up against a first timer like Sandra Schwartz, and how are you going to handle that? I can't wait to watch something like that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Rob.
go ahead. I think one thing that both of you guys are forgetting is that Ricky Puig isn't there anymore, but Gabriel Pecci is, and he's absolutely destroyed 3 and 5 back lines in the playoffs. I mean, Abubakar is going to have nightmares about this kid. Jeff Diaz is going to be like, man, I never want to see that cat again in my life. I mean, he's just playing out of his mind right now. And then Dejan Joveljic, which again no one has mentioned either today. I mean, he's the leading goal scorer for the Galaxy during the playoffs. So yes, Ricky Puig is going to be a big miss, but it's again, this team has found different ways to win and different guys to bring the victory. I mean, there was different points in this season where Gabriel Pecci was, the guy that had the team on his shoulders. At other points, it was Joseph Paintsil. During that stretch where Ricky Puig was out, Diego Fagundes was running the number 10 admirably. So it's just a lot of different ways to beat you. Whereas, no shade to any of the wingers that you brought up. But I mean, Gabriel Pecci, I think, clears all of them with the exception of possibly Rossi. And I think, Rossi's going to have a tremendous day to touch him. I mean, Pecci's on fire right now. So if he can get just a half chance, that's a goal.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I have one.
I'm
question
not
about
ready
Blake,
to compare the Red Bull defense in their current form to anything Colorado Rapids have put on the field, to be completely fair about that. And
what about Seattle's defense, though? I mean, he was a handful for who was widely considered the best one-on-one defender in MLS. I mean, so much so that after the game, like, they immediately went and traded jerseys. Now, Peck didn't really get a goal in this match, but he was a constant threat, right? He was just a constant threat for Seattle's back line, and he wore them down. I mean, you're looking at Peck so much that, again, you forget about a man like Dejan Joveljic, who had 1 or 2 touches in the final third, and he scores.
I will promise you that no one in Red Bull land is worried about Joveljic. It's the service that he gets that you need to worry about. I don't think Joveljic is some untouchable striker. He's better than league average about that. It's the fact that he's having more shots than anyone else. He's having more clean looks than anyone else. And that is happening by the creation going on around him. And that creation is partially not going to be there in this match. So Joveljic, okay, against Sean
I disagree.
Nealis, okay,
I disagree. It's a matter of efficiency. He's simply, like, there's been matches where he's not gotten service at all. And he's had 1 touch or 2 touches in the box, and he scored a brace, and he showed it against Seattle. He didn't really have a lot of service, and he found a way to score. So if New York Red Bulls isn't worried about Jovic, go and ask LAFC if they should be worried.
Fair point. Here's what I'm worried if I'm putting myself in, like, let's say, because I do feel like there are a lot of pieces to worry about if you're a Red Bulls fan, but at the same time, right? Like if Puig is out, fine, you stick to your game plan, you come in. I'm trying to think of what Schwartz is going to do in the moment that, let's say, who cares if it's Jovic or anybody else? Let's say Galaxy get a goal. And you have to now adjust faster than you intended to, right? You can't take it to halftime, or maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe you see it out. Maybe it's an early 1-0, and like you figure out how to adjust then. But I'm also asking myself, how does this chess match change and alter if Red Bulls have to open themselves up and start creating more opportunities than they had to against Orlando, then they had to against some of these other teams? I think against Columbus, I saw enough to make me feel, at least decent about that prospect. But still, I think against the Galaxy, it's a taller order.
Well,
yeah,
I
of
think,
course. Sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, one of the things I think you see is, especially against Columbus, right? We throw Lewis Morgan up top with Dante Vanzier, and it's very much a Lewis get running, right? When we went down against Columbus, I mean, you look at the goal that we scored to get back into that game. He drifted so far wide to start picking up the ball. He started getting a little bit more involved in that sense, where we didn't necessarily start throwing numbers forward, but we allowed a little bit more freedom going forward. And then we let him, that creates space for Emil Forsberg to start getting forward, right? The run into the box for that penalty against Columbus and things like that. One of the things that you haven't seen a lot is Lewis Morgan or Emil Forsberg get involved. I think I was looking at the New York City game in the first half alone, when they were very, very rigid, trying to prevent things from happening. They were involved in 34 total touches combined. And we still went up 2-0 there. So we didn't really need them to get involved. But when we do, I think that's the tactical change you see. Maybe you allow Cam Harper and John Tolkien to get a little bit more advanced, but you're going to keep the same back three nice and tight. You're going to keep the two midfielders, whether it's Carballo and Edelman, whether it's Stroud and Edelman, whoever that may be, you're going to keep them sitting in front, protecting that back three. But you're going to have a nice solid foundation in there to prevent anything coming up the middle and then having to worry about wide play. But it's going to be a little bit more freedom. But my guess is you're not going to see a lot of change from the start. They're going to be nice and compact in the back. They're going to look for that counterattack play. And if they have to, it becomes a little bit more free flowing. Less formation changes or tactic changes, but hey, Lewis, you can start drifting out wide more, or Emil, get yourself on the ball and start creating a little bit more. That's something I didn't see a lot of. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, freedom. I'd be very, very curious to kind of see what that looks like against, because again, you guys can challenge this Galaxy defense. Like, I'm not sitting here saying like Galaxy are the end all be all, right? You could challenge this back line. I want to see what happens as a neutral when that happens. And
I think that's really another part of the story altogether. We're talking about how Red Bull's going to shut Galaxy down, but what has Galaxy done, to go up against Red Bull and shut them down? This is surely not a prolific offense, but it's one that you need to cover everyone. Like, they have a lot of ways to score on you too. And maybe the fact that they don't have that big number 10, no one with 15 goals, leads to a little more confusion, leads to more chances on getting the ball. I spent last week telling everyone that set pieces and dead balls were an actual phase of play, and it seemed like people forgot that. Oh, Red Bulls are only good on set pieces and from the stoppage. Well, yeah, and you can win games like that if you could tell Pep, hey, your team can be guaranteed to win every header, every corner. He will sign that document. Yes, give that to me right now. And that's, I think, really where Galaxy is going to get exposed. Guys like Yamane, playing all the way upfield. Okay, send Lewis Morgan in behind him. Let's get some of that action on. And I was really looking for a way that Red Bull, could be justified as being a favorite in this game, or at least having a chance to win, right? Like, that's why you brought me on. You don't want to hear me tell you why Galaxy can win. You want to hear me tell you why Red Bull can win. And, I found that, and it's exactly that. Counterattack, set pieces. Galaxy was playing around with the ball in their own end. That might work against Seattle. That's not going to work against Red Bull. There's no chance that they're going to be as forgiving. And Seattle had more of an unrelenting, like, everyone run forward kind of press thing going on. Red Bull's a little more mature. They're going to pick their spots and jump on a ball, and they'll take the shots, because you know why? They'll hit a defender with a shot, because then they get a corner kick. That'll be part of the game. And I don't think that Galaxy has that as part of their game plan right now. I think Orlando was a little gun shy. They were looking too much for the perfect shot, because they knew okay, a corner kick, that's kind of a wasted play against this team. And certainly that's where Red Bull can expose them. I pulled up a stat here earlier. Red Bull, number 2 in aerials won behind DC United with 528 aerials won this year. And, Benteke had 400 himself.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
when we look at the stats here, Dylan Nealis, 81 aerials won, 75% of those that he went up for, 4th in the league. Sean Nealis, the better of the two brothers, 71 aerials won, 10th in the league. Noah Isla, 66 aerials won, 60%, 15th in the league. Andre Reyes, 47 aerials won, 52nd in the league with only 16 matches. He only played half the season. The only player that they have is Yoshida, 75 aerials won, excellent in the air. That's 9th in the league. The next guy down is Julian Aude, 23. That's 168th in the league in air balls.
And he's not starting.
That's really far down. So
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, he's
know,
not starting.
Yeah.
Fair.
In these parts where we're looking at corner kicks, where we're looking at set pieces, where we're looking at transition in play, Red Bull will take, okay, you want to try to beat us on the outside, we'll kick every ball out of bounds behind our own goal line, take the corner. We're going to hit on the counterattack or do something out. And then even if Red Bull doesn't get the corner, let's say it's a goal kick, we just miss the post, which happens a lot this year. If you're a Red Bull fan, you see a lot of balls going over that net. Okay, now give it to McCarthy. What are you going to do? Are you going to kick it upfield, or are you going to play out the back? Because either one of those is okay with the game plan Red Bull wants to play. So I think that there are definitely holes in the Galaxy's defense that can be exploited. And, I'm looking at like the betting odds. It's like 50% chance Galaxy wins, 30% Red Bull, 20% draw. I think that's right spot on where it should be. Yeah. This Red Bull has every chance in the world, and I just don't think people should be counting them out just yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I was going to say, I think it's interesting, just to build on Bob's points for a second. I think it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the set piece thing as well, because every time I look at these games, guys, I always look at sort of, especially in hot stakes games like Seattle, El Tráficos, for example, it's always a game of fine margins. And I always try to look, where can those margins be made up? Set pieces is one of them, right? Seattle had 5 corners, guys, in the first half, and boy, was I scared for every one of them. Credit to the Galaxy's defense and set piece defending in particular. They have been a lot better, especially in this postseason run. They've been very, very good. I don't think we've allowed a set piece goal. I think we allowed it off of a long throw, or maybe it was a recycle off of a set piece. So it wasn't necessarily a direct free kick or a direct corner. And so I just look at, again, where those fine margins are. Jose, going back to a point you made earlier about balance. So to Bob's point about transition, I think this is where it's interesting, guys, because I forgot who said it earlier, but the fact that Ricky's out of there, New York kind of has to guess on how the Galaxy are gonna play, especially in ball progression. But what I think is interesting, and I'm looking at this historically in the 5 games that LA did not have Ricky Puig, instead of playing like a 4-3-3 with 2 8s and sort of Ricky has that floating role, it's very simple and clear in that you put 2 DMs in there. So Delgado and Cerrillo sort of plays that double pivot, and they revert to that. And then whoever the 10 is the floating. So I think in transition, at least it's an advantage for the Galaxy, I think, or not an advantage, but at least I feel safer as a fan in terms of those counterattacks, because we've got 2 sitting DMs that they're going to play a little bit more positionally sound, because, I think Delgado is more of a ball progressor through his dribble, and Cerrillo is a really, really good passer. He's been excellent this year as a lone 6. So I think in transition, maybe we'll use that to sort of counteract and attack more as a 4 and bring the fullbacks in as they see fit in certain states of the game. But yeah, ball progression and sort of that trade-off between ball progression and sort of defending the counter is going to be a really interesting one for the Galaxy for sure.
So I have a question here, and it's kind of towards the LA Galaxy fans, but the Red Bull fans obviously, chime in if you need be. The big question at this point is what happens in that 10th position, correct? Like, where do they go from there? Do they go with the unknown with Marco Ruiz and at least start him out, see how it goes, then bring in a fresh Diego Fagundes to kind of finish the course, kind of in that aspect? It's a little bit unpredictable. There's not much film on it. And I mean, obviously we've all seen Marco Rose play. I'm not saying that there's not film on Marco Rose, but there's not much film on Marco Rose with LA Galaxy is what I'm trying to say. Is that the route to go, with the fact that, let's face it, Red Bull, they do their homework, they study, and is that the route to go if you're Greg Vanney? Or do you go with, even though there is some games footage on it of Diego Fagundez playing that 10 role, it's not a lot, but still enough to suffice. Like, what if you're Greg Vanney, what do you go from here? And I guess for the Red Bull fans, like, do you want that unknown with Marco Rose, or would you like to see Diego Fagundez since there is some familiarity there?
Guys, 2 minutes, and then we go to predictions. So have at it.
Cool. Real quick. I think I kind of answered this one earlier. Like, if in a perfect world you start Diego, but then if it doesn't work out, you miss him for the later stages, and you don't have those wing options. So I think if you're Greg, you kind of have to go with Royce and trust his big game ability to shine through. Really quick, in reference to Jose's last question, if the premise, Jose, is that if the Galaxy go up, can the Red Bulls just? Yeah, I mean, sure, I'm sure they can, but I mean, I've been struggling to remember where the Galaxy has lost points from winning positions at home this year, and I don't think they have. So when you're talking about a team that's gotten it done at home, especially the much maligned defense that everybody's talking about, they've gotten it done. Only 3 goals conceded here in the playoffs, only 2 from open play, and 2 shutouts. So I mean, there it is.
Yeah. Only thing I'll add to that is, I think I'm going to trust Royce for his big game ability, his set piece ability. We talked about set pieces just a second ago. He's a difference maker in those set pieces. And if he's playing that floating role, I don't think he'll have as much defensive responsibility as he would in a 2-8, sort of in a 4-3-3 in a 2-8 position. Because he was doing a lot of tracking back against Seattle. I was like, oh man, he's just, he doesn't have that anymore in his locker. Definitely not for 90 minutes, maybe not even for 70 minutes. So yeah, I'm there with Royce as well.
Red Bulls, anything? Good to go. All right, guys, let's jump in. Predictions, all the way around. Give me a score. How you think it's going to go? If you want to add a little bit of context around it, feel free. Let's start with the visiting side first.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Red Bull. I'm going to go 2-1 Red Bull. I think that Red Bull are going to take it and do something early, maybe get pressure, create a little chaos. That's kind of the way they've been doing it so far this season. And I think that if we can get up 1 goal, I think that that's going to be, kind of it. I see another one coming. This is the last game of the year, man. Like, you have nothing to save it for. And right. I think both these teams, if they are down, are going to have to open it up. And that's going to be against the other teams. That's going to be with the other team's wishes. Neither one of these teams is going to be able to afford to really let that happen. So, whoever gets the first early goal, and I'm going to go with Red Bull because I've seen them do it, 3 times this postseason. Keep a special eye on the last 2 minutes in the first 2 minutes of each half for a little chaos and, catching someone in transition. So I'm hopeful. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid full on, and 2-1 Red Bull.
Love it,
as you
Andrew.
Should.
As you should.
I will stick with the prediction we made on our show. I've got Red Bull getting a goal dumb early on something stupid that we should never have a goal on. We try and park it for 90 minutes. It doesn't work up until the 89th minute when LA get one back, and then we score the 2-1 winner in extra time from 16-year-old Julian Hall because I am a sicko, and I absolutely am here for that.
I love that.
He has it all thought out. Wow,
bro, I love that prediction, Andrew. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. We'll go to the neutrals in a second. Let's go Ananda first.
I'm going to go the reverse score line of Bob. I'm going to go, or actually both of you guys. I'm going to go 2-1 Galaxy. This is going to be very tight. And it's going to, it's going to be just as tight as Seattle, guys. Like, it's going to be very nervy. I don't want to add anything else that we've already said before, but I'll only add this, guys. And it's one of those things where I can't believe it's still alive, but we are still undefeated at home. I think the 12th man, you cannot discount that. I've been at that stadium all playoff season long. Man, the fans get behind their damn team. I haven't seen the digs like this in a long time, and I think that's what's going to give the adrenaline, the push. And of course, the other thing too is there's this hashtag going around right now, which is "Win It for Ricky." I think you can't underestimate the emotional part of this game as well. And I think, like you guys said, I mean, they're going to give it their all, and especially for Ricky, they're going to give 200% for this game. So yeah, 2-1 Galaxy.
I'm calling a 3-1 Galaxy. I think Galaxy scores early or scores first, then it opens up the floodgates because New York Red Bull has to open themselves up. And I think it's also dangerous if Red Bull scores first because the Galaxy has been a better second half side all year. They've taken they have been on the road, have fallen behind, found a way to win. Here they have the added benefit that they're at home. They have the 12th man. They have the storybook ending waiting for them at the end of the tunnel 10 years on from their last title. They have Win It for Ricky going for them. They have all these ex-Galaxy legends in the house. I don't really see Red Bulls being able to overcome not only just the quality and the depth of the team on the field, but just the magic and the atmosphere going all around them. For me, again, Galaxy win 3-1.
Hector, give it to me, bro. Give me the neutral.
Look, man, I have Vietnam flashbacks of MLS Cup Finals in Carson, California, being that I've had to see back-to-back poor performances by the Dynamo. And I think 3-1 is very much possible. I think the Galaxy, there's a lot of playing in store for them. I think as far as like adjustments, I not taking any credit away from Red Bull New York. I think that they do their homework and they do their homework correctly, but I just think the LA Galaxy is a different beast. I said it plenty of times. Wake Up MLS. I think they're the best team in the playoffs, and I stand by that. I think that they're all around. Just there's a lot of good things defensively, not great, but I mean still, I still think the best team in the MLS in the playoffs right now, and I think they're gonna play for Ricky Puig, and I mean also on top of that, man. Marco Russo wants something at this point. Like this man needs something, man.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's had an interesting career as far as like getting to that final game and getting a trophy out of it goes. Yeah, man, I don't know. This game, I have this weird feeling. It's I'm kind of gonna go the Andrew route a little bit in the sense that I don't see it being settled in the 90. I think it has a strong opportunity to go into extra time just with how the Seattle Galaxy game went. With what I saw from Red Bulls, what I've seen from them all postseason long, I think it'll be very cagey, very difficult. I think could we see a repeat of, was it the 2022 MLS Cup final when they went to penalty kicks? Or was it 21? 22, right? Gareth Bale?
22, LAFC in Philly.
Correct, yeah. 22.
Yep.
Right. Getting old, man. Getting old. Years are all blending together. But yeah, man, I really believe that this game is going to be one of the more epic that we've seen in recent history when it comes to MLS Cup final. I'm really inclined to back the Galaxy, but I would not be shocked if the Red Bulls were to find a way to complete what many would consider a Cinderella run in the best way possible. I would honestly not be hurt if either side of it really won it. My team's not in it. I would love the fact that we have two distinctly different sides in the MLS Cup final. I do think I do think it will go to the home side.
Two OGs, by the way, too.
Yeah. I just really believe that Red Bulls are going to make this an interesting game for neutral fans and frankly anybody who's going to be tuning into this. So, guys, if you haven't done so already, man, look, do me a favor, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel. You got our predictions, you got our preview. Tune in to MLS Cup on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. These two powerhouses are going to go at it. And look, we're going to hold a few receipts on the show afterward. We'll see how DMs are going after this game is said and done. But we're going to wrap
shout you guys out from the winning locker room over there at MLS Cup while I'm drenched in champagne and interviewing players, man.
That's awesome,
on either side, whichever side wins.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going to be in there and hoping to bring you guys all the best coverage from MLS Cup. So hopefully you guys check that out.
Absolutely. And guys, look, do me a favor. Again, go to the description. Check these guys out. Got Lacuna Galaxiana. We got the designated pundits. We have the designated players. All of their links going to be down in the description below. Go check them out. They are diehards of these two teams. Hector and I are just talking along the way. So we'll call the show here from everybody here at Wake Up MLS. My name's Jose. That's Hector. That's Rob. That's Ananda. That's Bob. That's Andrew. We'll catch you guys next time.